let's go back to the beginning with your church. So what year was that? Because what was that? 2017 that we had that big soul winning marathon, or how did that all start?
Well, you're talking about the Portland Marathon, or
where do you see as the beginning of your church? Was it that marathon? Maybe go back as far as you want. Start at the beginning.
Let's go to the beginning. Well, first of all, I just want to say thanks for having me on your first show. So it's kind of cool to be on the first podcast. So it's all experimental, right?
Yeah, we're still figuring it out. Yeah. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, and we're kicking off the missions conference too, so which is kind of cool. But
that's super important too. Yeah.
So anyway, I'll answer the question.
Answer the question.
Well, yeah, we were all voting to see like what city you were going to go to next, and
to do the soul winning
marathons, and you were going to different cities and stuff. And I think Portland was the second or third or something like that.
Yeah, because what it was that it all really started when we did the marching to Dearborn.
Right.
That was our first going to another city and holding a big soul winning event. Mm-hmm. We had 60 some people show up in Dearborn, Michigan.
Right.
And then we said, okay, this was so cool. Let's do this somewhere else. So we put up choices: Atlanta, DC, Portland, Boston. Mm-hmm. And so I don't remember which one won.
Portland had a strong, it had a strong vote. And then I feel like you did Boston or something next, and then then I think it was Portland. But the Portland one had a good showing. It was pouring down rain. I think it was in December or something. So it's one of the worst times of the year to go out. But we still had a lot of people saved. I feel like we had I don't know. I can't remember how many soul winners we had, but we had 80 something salvations or something like that.
So was that event kind of the genesis of Sure Foundation Baptist Church?
Yeah, we had already had a little soul winning group that we had started. Some people from Seattle and people from the Portland area and even other places. We would just kind of gather people together and go soul winning. So we kind of started as a soul winning group. Mm-hmm. And we would sometimes we'd go up to the Seattle area and go soul winning up there because people went to church up there.
And you guys were just attending local, old IFB churches.
Yeah, we were kind of following your protocols of go to a good church, the best church in your area, and then go, if your church doesn't have a soul winning program, then try to get one started. And so we actually did go to a good Hyles Anderson style church, and we helped the soul winning program get started there. Me, my wife, Brother Robert Segletis and his wife, and then we just kind of just had a bunch of people start going to our church there, and Pastor White, which was my pastor there, he went to Hyles. He was a Hyles Anderson graduate, and so he was all on board for the soul winning stuff, and they still have a great soul winning program going to this day.
Awesome.
At the time, it was just him and his deacon were going out by themselves pretty much, and I think his kids would go out, but they've had a strong program ever since we've been there. So, but anyway.
Nice. That was a pretty big event. I don't remember how many people showed up either, but you said
it was 60. I think it was over 60 people.
60 some soul winners, 80 some salvations out there.
Yeah, and then he let us use the church afterwards, and then you got up and preached just a sermon off the cuff.
Impromptu, ad lib. I think you were going to say ad lib.
Yeah, but that's not what it was.
Maybe impromptu is a better.
Yes, impromptu. Yeah. So then he allowed us to use the baptism.
I don't remember being rainy. I just remember thinking, here's what I remember about that day. I just remember being out there soul winning and thinking, man, this place is so beautiful. The trees are so beautiful. Because I've always loved the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
And I remember just thinking, man, this place is beautiful. These trees are beautiful. And then I remember it was the second door I knocked or something was a big listener. Who had been, listening to my preaching or something.
Really?
So that was kind of cool.
Oh, wow. Well, I went out with somebody and they saw somebody get saved out soul winning for the first time. They were really super excited about it. And
yeah.
I think I had a couple salvations, but some people didn't. But there's people that I still am friends with to this day. Like Brother Caleb was there, Miss Lola was there, Miss Jenny was there, and then just a bunch of people. And there was a guy that's just recently come back to visiting our church. His name is Brother Joshua Pico, and you baptized his nephew. He's a Samoan guy. Yeah, I don't know if you remember that, but you baptized several people at our church that we were going to at the time. And so anyway, yeah,
So in the aftermath of that event, what ended up happening as far as getting a church planted up there?
Well, you were going to send somebody up there, and that didn't quite work out at the time. And so basically, you'd kind of I was thinking about moving. I was trying to figure out which church I was going to move to because I really wanted to go to a new IFB style church, and it was just you, Pastor Jimenez, and Pastor Romero were the only, and Pastor Bergens were the only pastors, and so I was just trying to figure out which one I was trying to figure out which one I wanted to go to because I wanted to move because if there wasn't going to be a church up there, then I just wanted to be in a great church. So
life's too short to go to a church that you're not super excited about.
Basically, yes. And I love Pastor White, and we're still friends to this day, and we call each other and text each other and stuff. So it's not like he hates me or I hate him or anything like that. It's just, we're just different. So, but anyway, so then some people just said, well, why don't you, what's wrong with you, like going into the ministry?
What's wrong with you?
And I was just like, well, I feel like I'm too old. I was like, I just didn't.
How old were you at the time?
I was 42.
Well, how old are you now?
I'm 50.
So you're 50 now, so this was like 8 years ago?
Yeah.
So 42. Yeah. Life's pretty much over at 42, right?
Yeah.
I'm 44. Man.
So it was 2016. So it was like right when all the stuff with Pastor Jimenez and all the sodomites raging and all that stuff happening is kind of right when the church was being formed. Because I called Pastor Jimenez and I just said, because actually it was from a video that you made, you were like, not just sending someone out of a church, that's one way to do it, but there's other ways to plant churches. And I watched that video that you made and I was just like, oh, well,
because we were talking
about right at that time too.
The other model of sort of like having the satellite church, like the embryonic church plant that's still kind of connected to the mothership and then eventually gets cut loose. You made like
a quite a long video about that and I was like, But I think it was because you were going to start the North Phoenix plant or something like that. I think that's why you made the video maybe, or
I don't know.
You just made it for some reason. But I listened to that and I was like, well, that's kind of interesting timing. And then, so I called Pastor Jimenez and I was just like, because I'd made a friendship with him or whatever. I'd gone down and visited him a couple times.
Well, and he's also kind of the geographic closest.
Yeah, and so I just said, well, what do you think about this? Because I had heard a sermon from him saying, maybe in 10 years, we'll plant a church. And I was just like, oh, okay. Well, what about like right now?
That a little?
I was like, what about right now? And he said, well, why don't you ask your pastor if he's willing to send you out first? And I said, okay, well, I'll ask him. And he said that, because he had said that he wanted to send me out as a church plant at some point, but I said, well, the only problem I have with that is just that I'm not pre-trib and whatever. I don't want to preach something that would be contrary to things that you preach, and I'm not going to lie and say that I believe something that I don't, which, I don't know. That's just how I felt about it.
Yeah, you just wanted to give full disclosure.
Yeah, and so I went to him again, and I just like, would you be willing to ordain me? I'd been going to his church for a few years, and he knew me pretty well at that time. He knew my family really well, and I think he, respected me, and I was 3 to Thrive, and I helped with a lot of stuff. I was a church member there, helped get the Stolen program started. So I just figured he highly respected me, I'm sure, but and he did. He said, yeah, I'll send you out, and we had this big long conversation. But then I said, I was really excited. I was like, oh, cool, he's going to ordain me or whatever. And then I said, well, so when do you want to do the ordination? And he's like, oh, I'm not going to ordain you. I was like, okay. And so
wait, you thought
he said I'll send you out, but I'm not going to ordain you. I was like, well, I don't think you understand how this works.
To me, biblically, the sending out is the ordination. But the old IFB has this weird thing where they like distinguish between like sending you out to start a church and ordaining you as two different things. I don't think that's even biblical. I think that biblically, because ordain is to appoint or to select, that it's like if you say go start a church, that is ordination biblically as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the.
But to them, they have kind of this different like.
Yeah. So, and I just said, well, I mean, I don't.
Sorry, that chair is.
No, it's all right. Yeah, it's okay. I just think I just said, well, I just don't think that you realize like in our circles like that probably would not be necessarily acceptable.
Yeah. And
so he's like, well, yeah. I mean, he said we are different on some things, and I just think he just didn't want to be attached. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not like he didn't like me or something.
He believed in what you're doing.
Yeah.
He wanted you to do it. It's just that because he's not necessarily like-minded, he doesn't want to get lumped in with the stuff that's going to surround you, the controversies.
He would have got never-ending crap over it.
Yeah,
exactly. What it really was all about. It's like, but we're still friends and everything. But anyway, so I called back Pastor Jimenez and I just said, hey, yeah, he said that he's cool with me starting a church, but he doesn't want to ordain me. He's like, well, then let's do it. And so then all the stuff
So
happened with
your church started out, it wasn't Sure Foundation Baptist Church. It started out, it was just like...
It was Verity Baptist, yeah.
Verity Vancouver
Yeah.
is what it was called, right? Because it was Vancouver, Washington. So it was just like a satellite, like Verity Vancouver.
Yep.
So from the beginning, though, you were the boots on the ground. So were you preaching all 3 sermons?
I wasn't. I was preaching 2 sermons at first.
So you preached 2 sermons a week. Who preached the other sermon? Was it a rotation?
It was a rotation. It was me and Pastor Jones before he was Pastor Jones.
So what was it like? What was it
and
like
other people
then
too.
for you starting out, preaching 2 times a week? Like was that a difficult adjustment of, just having to just consistently get up twice a week and preach? Because it's a lot.
It's harder than people think it is.
I remember whenever I first started pastoring, I remember I had written a bunch of sermons while I was in Bible college. So I kind of had like a stack of sermons that I had written.
Yeah.
So for the first few months of pastoring, I was just burning through that stack. So I wasn't even writing sermons. So I was putting all
That's
my
how
energy.
you did it.
That's how I did it.
Oh, man.
So because I was literally knocking doors every day because I was just putting all my energy. Because I had no online thing going on. I had no social media, no following online. There's no YouTube, just nothing. So I'm just knocking doors and dragging people into services the best I could. And so I remember that I had this stack of sermons. And man, when that stack of sermons ran out, it was like, uh-oh.
I'm screwed.
Now I gotta come up with 3 sermons a week because I was working full-time, more than full-time, overtime. And at the beginning, I was knocking doors and just really focused on getting people to come. So I wasn't thinking about writing sermons because I just had a stack of sermons that I wrote in Bible college and that I'd already preached in the past and stuff like that.
Man.
And so once those sermons ran out a couple months in, then it was like, oh, dang, I got to write 3 fresh new sermons a week. So what was that like for you, just adapting to
Well,
that?
the first kickoff weekend that we had, because we did church for like maybe a month with no cameras on, and we didn't do live stream. We were trying to get the piano stuff dialed, the services dialed in, and he just allowed us to have church, but we would record it, but we just didn't put it online.
Right.
So the very first service you were at, and you preached, and you just got back from Botswana, and you wore that special shirt, and you preached. That was our very first church service that we ever had. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember going and preaching and wearing the shirt.
Yeah.
But I
That was the very first church service we ever had. Yeah,
you're kind of blowing
preached
my
at
mind
it.
right now
Yeah.
because I didn't know that.
That was the first official service. Was you preached it?
That's crazy. Wow.
So and then of course we had church that weekend and stuff like that. But yeah, so but then he had a couple guys preach the evening service. I think that there was 2 guys preached one service, but he preached the morning service on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And then I think then he sent Brother Stuckey up Pastor Stuckey up to preach the next weekend. And so after that, then I realized I'm on my own. It was like I'll just admit right now, I was like terrified.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a stack of sermons, so I'm just like, here we go. And I remember I had asked him, can I have Joe, preach the Sunday nights? And he's like, that's fine.
So you did Sunday morning and Wednesday night.
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that because Sunday night to this day is my most difficult service because I kind of just give it everything on Sunday morning and I just leave nothing out there on the field. And it's always really hard for me to get up and preach a second time in the same day.
Yeah.
And also
lead soul winning in the afternoon. I led soul winning in the afternoon too.
Yeah.
So.
And I also just like to write my sermons. I like them fresh. So I don't really like to think too much about my evening sermon until my morning sermon is done. So it's always kind of like, I always have the afternoon as kind of this death march to I got to get a sermon together for tonight. So Sunday night is my most difficult service. So you at least took that off the table because then you got 3 days to prepare Sunday morning. And then you got 3 days to prepare Wednesday night.
Well, we did Thursday night services, which gave me an extra day too. So, but I was working like 70 hours a week and sometimes more, sometimes a little bit less. But I worked a lot of overtime and ran the church.
So you're probably, while you're at work, you're probably kind of thinking about sermons.
Anytime I got a break, I was
writing down ideas.
Yeah,
and just or
I would just write sermons when I could. So I would skeleton them together and then just add the verses later and. I mean, that's just the way I write my
So it was
sermons anyway.
intense. So how many people were coming to the church in those early days?
The first service that we had was 22, I believe.
Okay.
The one where nobody was, you know, it wasn't a special service.
Yeah,
I think
so-
I can't remember what the first service was. It was over 100 though.
So it was maybe like 22 diehards that kind of were showing up in those real early days, and then big event, people coming from Sacramento and people even probably from Phoenix and myself and everything. That was like over 100. But
Yeah.
as far as like your core,
Yeah, we started, and then it quickly became like in the 40s.
Yeah.
Really quickly, then in the 60s. But like,
yeah.
yeah, it got.
So what were some of the biggest challenges for you in those early days, like running a church plant? Like you're not necessarily the pastor yet, but you're kind of doing the work that you're going to do as a pastor. It's kind of de facto you're pastoring the church, even though you don't have the title yet. So what were was preaching the biggest challenge, or just dealing with people? Like what were some of the hardest things about that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that like Pastor Jimenez always says is, you know, the great thing about being a pastor is the people, but then the worst thing about being a pastor is the people also. So, which is kind of true sometimes, but you know, I mean, yeah, you got problems. The more people you have, the more problems you have, and obviously
More money, more problems. More people, more problems.
yeah, but I mean, you know, and then there's, you know, I think in the early stages of the new IFB, there was a lot of, you know, bozos and stuff like that.
Well, what happened
we don't have
is-
so many bozos. We don't have bozos anymore in our
Well,
church. So
from my perspective, here's how that kind of went down. Is that, you know, Faithful Word kind of had a slow, steady growth for a long time, where we were just, you know, we started out super small. Obviously, 2006 we averaged 10 on Sunday morning. 2007 we averaged 20. 2008 we averaged 30. 2009 we averaged 40. 2010 we averaged 50. 2011 we averaged 60. I mean, literally, that's how it was.
Yeah.
It was just really consistent,
Yeah.
a slow, steady growth. But then what happened is around like 2013, 14, around that time, we just grew by like 100 people overnight. So it's like we just went from like 75 to 175 like overnight.
yeah,
And so, you know, there were a lot of great people came into the church in that era, but it was just the church was just growing really quick. And so a lot of people were coming to the church, a lot of people were coming to the movement, and a lot of them were cool, but a lot of them were bozos. I think the reason that our quality is a lot higher now is just because we've gone through all the battles and trials and tribulations that have purged us of bozos. You know, it's sort of like my X account. Okay, because like on my X account, you know, I'll have these big surges of growth on X, and you know, we're live on X right now. Hopefully people are watching us on X right now. And X is my main social media outlet these days. Like that's the social media that I focus on more than anything else, as far as, you know, putting out content and stuff. But on X, you know, you'll get a bunch of subscribers or followers, but you know, after a while, the Catholics end up getting purged, like these diehard, like radical Roman Catholics. They, you know, and then also just these kind of wild, radical white supremacist types. So it's like, you know, so what happens is a lot of times my subscriber count will stay steady, but I'm gaining new followers, but then I'm just kind of purging Catholics and white supremacists. And so then you kind of get like a more quality product.
you're burning them at the stake.
Exactly. They wish they could burn us at the stake. That's
Yeah.
what they do when they're in power.
Yeah, exactly.
But the point is, you know, when you pastor, what I think a lot of people don't understand this about church growth. Is the thing about church growth is that there is so much attrition all the time. Like you're constantly losing people, and it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the denomination. It doesn't matter if you're preaching hard, preaching weak. You are constantly losing people. So in order to grow, you have to have new blood coming in, even to maintain. And the bigger you are, the more people you got to bring in just to maintain.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if you lose 100 people and then gain 100 people, it's actually a win because every time you do that, your quality's going up because you're kind of you're purging bozos. And the quality keeps getting better because the people that stick, the people that stay, the people that are faithful, people that are serious, people that are loyal, those are the really quality people. And you know, so it's like the church gets better and better. That's why I feel like our church is like better than it's ever been. I'm sure your church is the same way, where it's like, the best group of people ever.
Yeah.
So like you said, in the beginning, there's a lot of people that are kind of, that don't pan out, as it were.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, and it was, it's been said that all the normal people have left the new IFB. But I can just tell you 100%,
opposite, right?
It is literally the opposite. And one of those guys that said that is just like, he collects all of them. He's like a Pokemon collector. He catches them all and keeps them all as his friends or whatever. But
so let's pause for a second and do a little plug for the missions conference.
Okay.
So the reason that you're here, the reason that you're in town, is we're having our missions conference at Faith Forward Baptist Church here in Phoenix, Arizona. Look, anybody who's local to the Phoenix area, even if you don't come to our church, there's services on Thursday night, Friday morning, Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night. And I'm just throwing that out there that even if you have a church that you normally go to, you could still pop in for some of these extracurricular services.
And tonight too.
Well, I mean, if they have their own Wednesday night, that's all I meant. A lot of people, if they're already plugged into a good church, they're not looking to switch. I'm just saying, they could still come in, say hi, experience, what Faithful Word is about. But I'm excited about this conference because, I think we're really going to pack out our new building, get a lot of out-of-town visitors. We got a bunch of awesome pastors and preachers and lineup coming into town. And so, I'm super stoked about the conference, and I'm really just excited to hear about all the great works that have been done over the last year. Because the thing that's different about our missions conference is when I was in the old IFB, the typical missions conference was more like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Whereas our missions conferences are more retrospective, where we actually preach about what we did for the last year. So it's all fresh. It's not hypothetical. It's real. And obviously, we think about and talk about the stuff that we want to do in the future as well. But it's like concrete. This is this is where you are. This is where you're going. This is where you've been. We actually have like real stuff that we did in the last 12 months.
Well, and that's the thing is that I've been, because I was in the old IFB a long time.
Yeah.
And I've been to a lot of missions conference, and I loved missions conference. I loved seeing the slideshows, and
I loved it in the old IFB.
I loved it.
Love it.
But like, it's always, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
This is the language we have to learn. This is the Mapuche people, and we're going to reach them in the high mountains of Chile and all this other stuff. And it's like, that's cool. But then, when
doesn't always pan out.
When did they ever get there?
It doesn't always happen.
And it's like, these white people, no offense, but like they're going to learn the language and get to know these natives that live in Peru in the highlands or whatever. And maybe it does happen.
Some of them, some of them get it done and some of them don't.
But it's just like, it seems like a lot of these missionaries, they're just trying to find this, Shangri-La or something of these people that have never been reached before.
It's kind of
like,
romantic.
what about the people that actually, are receptive?
Yep.
Like the places that we're actually going, where people are just
common sense.
They already know the King James Bible. They just need a little push to get them saved.
You ask them, do you know for sure you're going to heaven? They don't know.
Yeah.
And so
But then they'll show me, tell me.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah, so I'm the same way. Back when I was in the old IFB, I loved the slideshows. Yeah. I loved the missions conference. I was always signing up to take the missionaries out to eat, and I wanted to hang out with the missionaries. I wanted to talk to them and talk shop with them because, I was going to be a missionary. I was going to be a foreign missionary. That's what I wanted to do pretty much my whole life. And really the reason that I ended up not doing it was the issue of the pre-trip rapture being false, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because this is what happened.
You can't get supported.
Well, because I just knew, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to preach things that I don't believe. And I want to preach the whole Bible, and I want to have integrity. And I really wanted to be a foreign missionary. When I met my wife, I told my wife, I'm going to be a foreign missionary. Are you okay with that? Like, are you ready to go live in one of these like less developed countries and stuff? Because I think I was thinking about going to Romania, and a couple other places were on the table. But I just told her, you're not necessarily going to be living in the promised land in America. I have to go somewhere else. And so I'd kind of warned her that I want to be a foreign missionary. And she's like, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. So she was willing to do that. And I always wanted to be a foreign missionary, but I just knew, like, I'm not going to be able to go around and get support because I'm not going to kiss the ring of all of these kind of like sacred cow fundamental Baptist doctrines that are false, like the pro-Israel stuff, the Zionist stuff, the rapture stuff. At the time, I didn't understand the Zionist thing, but I got that like 6 months after starting the church. Right. But I just knew I'm going to preach some stuff that's going to make people mad. I'm going to raise hell. I'm going to preach hard. So I was just like, this isn't going to work for me to go around and get a bunch of support from 50 different churches, because that's how the old IFB does missions. So I just decided, you know what, the home base needs help anyway. I'm going to start a church in the U.S. And when I was in Bible college, there was a big push toward missions at Hyles Anderson at the time. It was almost like, if you don't surrender to the mission field, you're not right with God. Like, if you want to pastor in the U.S., you get a lot of peer pressure from people acting like,
well, peer pressure for the women in churches to grow up and marry a missionary, to be a missionary wife or a pastor's wife or something like that.
So when I was at Hyles Anderson, everybody was pressuring me, like, you got to go to the mission field. So I've always loved missions, and I'm thinking to myself, I want to go to the mission field, but it's just the system isn't going to work for me. So that's why I ended up ultimately pastoring in the United States. But you know what? God gave me the desires of my heart because he's allowed me to do all these cool mission trips and help other people get to the mission field. At this point in my life, I'm more interested in sending other people usually, because it's just, the older you get, the less you like to travel. But I used to love missions conferences. And so, like, I love this missions conference because I love geography. I love learning about other cultures. Like, even when I read ancient history, I love Herodotus because it's ethnography. I like to learn about different cultures and customs of different groups. I find that stuff fascinating. And for me, like, I'm not into sightseeing at all. So, like, I went on a mission trip to Greece in the summer, and we're literally like right next to Athens and stuff. I like didn't go to Athens, didn't go to Mars Hill, didn't go to the Areopagus. I literally went nowhere. And my daughter was with me, and she's like, yeah, I don't like sightseeing either. I'm like, cool, then let's not do it. So we literally just, and I'm not against sightseeing. My wife loves sightseeing. Most people love sightseeing. But for me, the ultimate trip to a foreign country is living amongst the people, talking to people, going in their homes, the slice of life. Like, when I went to Germany the first time, like, I'm just living with people in Germany. I would go to school with them. Like, I was 18 years old when I went to Germany. I went to high school for a week. And I just went to, like, all the classes. I got on the school bus. To me, that's, like, the ultimate, because it's like, I'm fascinated by how do people live? What are other cultures like? I'm a lot more interested than to just see a site, is to go in the home and talk to people. And that's exactly what soul winning is. That's what's so cool, because like going soul winning in these places is the ultimate sightseeing for me. Because it's like you walk in, you talk to people, you get to know people, and we're preaching the gospel, win people to Christ, but then a lot of times, even before, during, or after winning people to Christ, you chat with people,
give you a cup of coffee or a tea or some kind of like home flavor, home style something or other.
And you hang out, you get to know people, you ask them about their lives. Like, to me, I love that stuff. And so, what we try to do with the missions conference here is kind of have cultural stuff. Like, we're going to the Musical Instrument Museum tomorrow, and it's just all, and it was Brother Segura's idea. It was an awesome idea, because the Musical Instrument Museum is actually broken up by country. It has every country in the world, and you hear the music of that country. Because the NIFB is going a real weird direction with the music lately. So we're gonna hear the real.
Well, the first thing I thought of is a small world. After all, that ride at Disneyland. I think I went there when I was 10 years old, and my grandma made me go on that ride, and I was like,
I cried.
I want to go on the Matterhorn.
Did you cry too? Because I cried. My mom made me go on that ride. I'm like,
I didn't want to. I know. I was just like, I don't want to go on this.
It's girly. I said, this is for girls.
I know. My brother protested big time, but like, I want the Matterhorn.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But
that's funny. Space Mountain.
Yeah. Space Mountain line.
So anyway, don't they I don't remember the ride. Do they feature different countries?
Yeah, and then they all are singing that song as you go through it or whatever.
I was a little brat.
This is stupid.
I was a 5-year-old. I was like a 5-year-old bratty toddler crying and saying it was girly. So I didn't really get. Probably now I'd probably enjoy it.
According to Sam Gipp, you still are. So.
Well, I feel like now I'd enjoy it if it's a geography thing.
Yeah, I think it's like all different cultures. I just remember there were like little mannequins or something. I don't know, like
appropriating a bunch of cultures.
Yeah.
I just love geography. Yeah. I love maps. I'll just like.
I nerd out on maps a lot.
When Google Earth came out, I would just surf
zooming
it.
in.
I'm just looking at stuff.
It is cool, but it always makes your computer go slow.
Yeah.
Your computer has to be able to handle the Google Earth.
Yeah, so I like learning about different countries, and obviously just the one of the coolest things about these conferences is that the NIFB, obviously we have our local church family, but we kind of have buddies in other churches that are like there's certain people at Sure Foundation that are just, they kind of come to all the events, or people from First Works and Steadfast that you get used to seeing.
We got some sharp historians at my church. Brother Bill, Brother Sean, Brother Jesse. Like, you get those guys talking about history, and it's like, boom.
Well,
like,
and
they know a lot about military stuff and coins and history, and they're super interesting to talk to.
I didn't warn Brother Bill, but like, I'm planning on having a podcast with him this week. I hope Bill, if you're out there, get ready.
Bill, yeah.
Because he's coming to the conference, I'm hoping to go live with him.
He knows a lot about a lot of different
I want to go live with him this week. Cause
he's a very interesting man.
Oh, yeah.
And he's single. And he's single also.
He's the world's most interesting man.
He's also very single.
So,
he's an eligible bachelor.
So I think that the missions conference is great for fellowship, just like old friends. It's cool. There are those kind of.
I got people from other churches of mine too, because I got so many churches.
How many churches are you pastoring right now?
5.
Yeah, that's a reasonable number. I'm only pastoring 1.
I've whittled it down, so.
Yeah. I need to get a church plant going, man. I got to keep up with you and Pastor Russell. You guys are killing it, man. Yeah. It's awesome.
Well, the Vancouver, Surrey church is now under Pastor Weeb, under Fortress Baptist.
Oh, okay.
So, and then.
Yeah, so Pastor Weeb is the mothership is that Calgary, Alberta, for him, or no? Where's his main church?
No, his is Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, but he has a ministry in Calgary.
Yeah, that's like a Bible study group right now.
Okay, so Winnipeg.
I think it's going to be, Winnipeg, and then like Surrey is, I think they're running about 30 people right now.
Oh, nice. In Canada?
In Canada, Surrey, and that's basically taken over by Sikhs. But like, they've been going into Abbotsford, which is, suburbs of there, because Surrey's basically kind of like, it's kind of like Portland and Vancouver, Washington. Yeah. It's like they're across a river from each other.
So you said in Surrey, Canadistan, is that the new name of Canada? Canadistan?
It's like that. It's like that all in Canada. Like when I was in Winnipeg, it was like there was just.
So the Indians especially the Sikhs, the Punjabis are kind of taking over, and they kind of control business, and it's kind of.
They come in, they buy all the businesses. When I went to Surrey last time, I went into a Walmart, and everything was Indian food, Indian rice, Indian flavors.
I do love
potato
Indian
chips.
food.
I do too. Pastor Shelley's, he's wrong about some things.
I think my number one.
It has
favorite
to be
food,
good, yeah.
My number one favorite food is Mexican food.
Yeah.
My second favorite is Indian food.
Yeah.
So I eat a lot of it, and
Chinese.
like when we do these cruise mission trips, they usually have Indian food all the time because I don't really know why, because it seems like there aren't necessarily a ton of Indian guests, but there are a lot of Indian staff sometimes. I don't know why, but I think maybe just people just like Indian food. But it seems like on the buffet, I'm always hitting up the Indian food.
We need to go to Houston soon.
Yeah.
Brother Samson was telling me that there's an Indian restaurant that he goes to all the time. Like he just finds an excuse to go there. And he said that it's so big and so fancy and so nice that there's 250 staff that works behind the scenes that you don't even see.
That's insane.
He said there's a lined up at all times there to get in.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but he said it's like he converted.
So there's a guy outside the door and he only lets you in if you're cool enough?
Well, Samson knows him on a first name basis.
Oh, okay.
He calls
So
him and says, "I'm coming," and then he acts like he's going into the bathroom.
He's gonna be like, "Hey, these guys are with me."
Yeah. It's like the voice of God. It's like, I'm here.
Brother Samson's got the voice, man.
But he says he goes in, he acts like he's going to the bathroom, and then the manager takes him to his table. But he said it's the best. He said he tries to talk Pastor Shelley into going there, but he'll never go in there. Man. But like he said, next time you come to Houston, you got to go there with me. Yeah. So, yeah, Pastor Reyes, I'm gonna have to come visit Pastor Reyes just so I can go to that restaurant.
So, okay,
anyway,
so back to our story. Yeah. So, what's kind of the next milestone in the story then? So you're running Verity Vancouver, and you're preaching 2 times a week. So you're kind of pretty much practically in the deep end as far as you're running things, you're dealing with people, you're preaching sermons, you're de facto pastoring the church as far as being there on the ground. So what's the next milestone? Is that becoming independent or something else? Yeah,
so like 2 years later, in October, or no, it was a little bit before the 2-year mark. It was July of 2018, then I was ordained. So got ordained as the pastor, and then the pastor.
Did anything really change, or the name changed? Like did you immediately have new people join or leave, or
no?
Or did anything change?
It's steady, continued to get bigger and stuff, and then the COVID-19 happened not too long after that. It was like maybe a year later.
So what was that like? You took a little bit of a hit on attendance? Or
what? We did, and then ever since then, it's kind of taken a hit ever since.
So what was that? Did your services just kind of go forward, business as usual, but some people just stayed home? Or?
No, we had to, because we were in that downtown building.
Oh,
and
okay.
there was
we had people.
There was like apartment. If you remember what it looked like, there was apartment complexes and like neighbors all over, and everybody hated us. Like there was businesses next door that were like actively like working against us. There was bars all around and stuff, and they were turning us into
and the reason they hated you was the issue of the sodomites.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had a couple
protests. Wasn't there a barber that was on your side?
Yeah, it was a Muslim barber, and he like got in a fist fight with one of the fags that were out there. But
so you basically you had like a Saracen mercenary.
Yeah. Well, he didn't like that our religious liberties were being trampled upon, and this fag got in his face and he socked him or something.
Nice.
But then they
better him than you, right?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be a striker. So
no, that's right. Yeah.
Let the Saracens do the.
They're okay with chopping people's heads off and stuff. So.
But I'll allow it in this case.
Yes. Yeah, but then they didn't come back after that, the protesters.
So you were kind of going through all that was a little bit of a hit that you took.
Yeah.
So then
we basically rented a house for like, I don't know, it was like a month or something like that, or maybe.
Oh, okay.
And then
so then I met in the home.
Yeah, we met in the home, and we just split the services. Like we'd have a morning service where we'd have like 30 something people, and then we'd have another service.
So it's So but you never started the church in your house, did you?
No.
So like you got
I took advantage of the full blessing of having you and Pastor Jimenez, and I didn't have to start from scratch.
But you got to experience having church in your house then for a little bit during COVID, because your building got shut down, so you met in the house. Because we met in our house when we started the church for a year and a half, and it was definitely difficult. It was definitely challenging. Yeah. People come in and blow up the bathroom and. And then the service ends and people just aren't going home, and it's hours are going by. It's hours and hours and hours, and I have to get up early and go to work and everything. Because it's funny, when we moved from the house to the building, we hadn't even outgrown the house. We were just sick of doing it at our house, because when we moved, we were still only running.
Rent something, rent anything.
Yeah, we were only running like in the 20s, so we still could have fit it at our house, because we were only running like 20-some people, but on average. Sometimes we'd be in the 30 or whatever, 29. I think the most we had in the house was like 29 or something. But it was more just like we were so sick of having church at our house because it was challenging. And we didn't even have a couch because we had, we had to have it all cleared. Our entire living room was just set up like an auditorium. So it was like, moving into the building, it was like first thing we did, we went to IKEA, got a couch. It was like, hey, we have a living room now.
Took you 20 hours to build.
Because our house is small anyway. Like, it's not like we had a giant house. Like, our house was like 1,100 square feet, so it was like. We later expanded it to like 1,300 some square feet with the Arizona room where we enclosed the patio.
Oh.
But even when when we left there, we I think we had like 11 kids, and it was 13 of us. We had 11 kids, 13 of us, and we lived in a 1,300 and some square foot house. So it was a little tight. You know, playing life on hard mode over here. But now our house is great. So, but anyway, so you experienced church in the house for a little while.
Yeah.
So after COVID, you had to kind of build back.
Yeah, we had like a big we had a big. Everybody came back, and it was. We did lose some people over the whole. It seemed like that was the first big. Well, I mean. Seemed like that was a big split in the new IFB.
From your perspective,
I'm just saying that from everybody's, like that was a big, with all the pastors
around
like getting all upset about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
that was stupid.
It was like, oh, COVID-19. You know,
I
we
would say
compromised and became FEMA pastors and all that. But like, so we did lose some people over that. Some of the people that say that that's not what it was, but it's like, okay, whatever. I mean, you know, people will leave, and then there'll be something. Yeah.
I mean, I felt like I just felt like we didn't really know what was going on, so we just took a moderate. We didn't go crazy in either direction. We were just trying to navigate it moderately.
Me and you came to Spokane, and you told me about, you know, you kind of went over some numbers with me, and really what you made me think about was that. What if it is that? What if it does get that bad? Because if it does, we're going to be held personally responsible for that.
And hindsight's 2020.
Sure.
Like, obviously, looking back, it was for the most part a nothing burger. We know that now. We see that now. But at the time, you know, we were just trying to navigate it the best we could. And you got all these little armchair quarterbacks saying, "I told you so." But it's like
with 20 people in their church.
Yeah. You know. Bless God, we're going to keep having church. And they only run 10.
Yeah, we were running like 130 at the time. And it's like...
We were running over 300
in a downtown place where everybody hates us with apartments. You know, we had the health department coming to our church and people like coming in, opening the door and taking pictures. And
we were running over 300 at the time. And I said, look, we're going to take a middle course, a moderate course. And I said, if I'm wrong about this, and it turns out to just be a total nothing burger, then I'll admit I was wrong. And I will admit that I was wrong, because I did think that it was going to be a bigger deal than it was. Because we did have a guy in our church who almost died.
Yeah.
And he was a physically fit, able-bodied guy. He's about 40 years old. And he went to the hospital, and he thought he was going to die. I mean, he got hit pretty bad. Some of our church members had relatives who died. Family who died. A lot of people on the Navajo reservation that we knew were dying because, you know, the Navajos, they have a lot of, like, you know, health problems. So they're kind of like at risk or whatever. Mm-hmm. Obviously, hindsight's 2020.
But old people are at risk too, and that's the thing is, like, I had one of my church members call me, and he goes, I was exposed, and that was the weekend in Spokane. I was actually called. I was talking to him on the phone. He's like, hey, you know, I was exposed. He's like, and I don't want to expose anybody else, but I'm a little concerned. You know, he's like in his 70s or early 70s, and I was like, hey man, like, I'm not trying to force you to come to church. Like, if you feel like you need to sit out for, you know, a week or two, then that's fine. Yeah. And I was just, you know, no, you got to come to church. Like, what's wrong with you? It's like, and you know, these guys that were just like grandstanding about it, like their churches were tiny.
When everybody's like, it's killing 1%.
And they lived in a small town that was super Republican or something.
Yeah.
Like,
they're like, it's killing 1% of people. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, I've got these like 4 or 5 old people. I got 400 people total in the church. And so I'm not really ready to just kiss goodbye the 4 most vulnerable or whatever. So again, like I said, hindsight's 2020. But at the time, honestly, my biggest thing was I knew a lot of people were looking to me as the kind of just de facto leader of the movement. And I felt like if I just took a hard line and just didn't, you know, just didn't downsize our services or anything, then it was going to be like, it was going to make other churches like in California feel like that. Because like in California, they're actually being faced with fines and being shut down and everything like that. And like, here's the thing, like, I preached a sermon before the COVID pandemic even blew up, where I showed what the Bible said, even before any of this happened. And I said that quarantine is biblical, because it is biblical.
It is.
But I preached that philosophically, so then it would have been kind of a weird hill to die on You know what I mean? Like, because it's like, do we stand on principle or do we just have to just always do what the government says, or just always go against the government just for the sake of going against the government? It's like, well, no, do what the Bible says.
Well,
just follow the
kind
Bible.
of feel like that might be a segue later on, that the next time all the churches be like, well, look at what they did last time, and then it could be deadlier next time, and then it's like they blame all the Christians.
Well, deadly diseases do exist.
I know, but
It's
I'm just saying that
COVID
they could
wasn't
use it.
one of them.
They could use it to like segue it into this is all the Christians' fault because they spread it to everybody.
COVID turned out to be totally exaggerated and totally overblown. I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong about that. But at the same time, there are diseases out there that are bad, like smallpox or like
the Spanish
flu, or the Black Plague or whatever. I mean, it's not that there aren't serious things out there.
The Spanish flu did kill a lot of people. So
absolutely.
But yeah.
So anyway,
I don't know how we got off on that, but
we're going through the history of your church. So that you took a hit with that. And then, going forward from that, any other major milestones?
Well,
we
switched buildings, and that was a big breath of fresh air, getting out of downtown. I mean, it was good while it lasted down there, but our parking situation was bad, and just having just all those haters down there.
So the new building's a much better.
I love the coffee shop there. I love that coffee shop. I still miss that, but like as far as where we're at now, we're in a standalone building.
Yeah,
and so it's
you guys have a great building, and you have a really nice sign, and you got a big parking lot, easy to park. It used to be a bank.
Yeah. So it's a cool building. It's awesome, and I mean our church has been very successful. We started quite a few churches. We planted a church in England. We planted a church in 2 churches in Canada.
And you've already some of these churches that you've planted have already successfully become independent. Like the England's independent, Canada's independent, right? So you've been able to get them all the way to the finish line.
Yeah.
And then you've still got some
now
others
they're
that
replicating
are still
what they've done.
Embryonic, like Seattle is still embryonic. As far as
Spokane.
it's still under your canopy. Spokane. Yeah. And your son is preaching in Spokane now regularly.
He's doing a really good job. The church is growing.
It's a great group of people in Spokane, Washington. And then what other ones do you have?
Well, I have Yakima, and it's in a smaller area, but it's still fairly large. I mean,
but it's in the middle of nowhere, as it were.
It's just geographically.
For someone like me,
geographically, it's just hard to get to because of it. Where it's like dead center in the middle of Washington.
So you got Yakima, Spokane, Seattle. What's the fourth one?
Indianapolis.
Oh, Indianapolis. How could I forget? Yeah.
Yeah, you were just there. It looks like you guys. I was really like envious of your guys' time there. You guys look like you had such a good time.
Much fun. We had so much fun.
Dude, that was so
great
funny.
Fellowship. and then so I had a super good time of fellowship, hanging out with the Sure Foundation people. Went out to that Mexican restaurant, had a lot of fun. We kind of just took over the restaurant.
Dude,
and we were
awesome.
it was kind of surreal, just belting out like hymns and psalms. We were singing Psalm 139, just belting it out in that restaurant. It was hilarious because it was like a Mexican karaoke night or something at this Mexican restaurant. It was hilarious. So then it was like, so we were busting out with all of these like hymns and Spanish hymns and English stuff too, Psalm 139.
So you're playing to the crowd some too, a little bit.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So then it was like, so we're like, okay, we gotta throw the crowd a bone here. So I'm thinking to myself like, okay, how can I throw the crowd a bone? I'm like, La Bamba. It's like, so it was kind
that's
of funny.
How that came.
Well, it was kind of funny because I was thinking to myself like, I don't know if they're gonna feel like we're making fun of them by like just singing the most like cliche like. Oh, here, I know a Mexican song, you know what I mean? But like, because we were going to sing La Cucaracha or something.
That's the most cliche one.
Because we were just trying to, we were joking around. But so I wasn't sure if they would feel like maybe insulted.
Because that means the cockroach, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you know, well, you know what's fun? Well, you know the song. Do you know how the song goes?
Yeah.
It's actually, it goes back to like the, I believe, early 20th century, like Mexican-American War, like, maybe Pancho Villa. Or it's somewhere. It goes back over 100 years for sure.
Yeah, I don't know the history of it,
but yeah, it was like it's like a song that the soldiers are singing. But it's actually the original version is actually about marijuana, if you can believe that. Yeah, usually it's more of a sanitized kids version. But the original version is, we didn't sing it, by the way.
Is it the marijuana?
We were joking about singing it, but we didn't end up singing it. But it goes la cucaracha ya no puede caminar porque no tiene porque le falta marihuana para fumar. That's the original lyrics.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So there, you got it right now. But anyway,
mysteries.
So yeah, so I was like, yeah, we're losing the crowd because the owner he didn't know how to feel, but the owner kind of liked what we were doing because we were just having fun and we're buying a bunch of food and we kind of lit the place up. But we're like, okay, we gotta throw the crowd a bone here. So we sang La Bamba, but they ended up loving it and then I changed the lyrics to incorporate the name of the restaurant. And then the lady who ran the restaurant got real excited because I incorporated the name of the restaurant into the lyrics.
That's cool.
I forget what was it called. It's called the restaurant was called like El Caporal or something. I think it means like the boss. Or something. I think it's a cognate. Maybe it's a cognate with the English word like corporal.
Who came up with the idea to go to that place?
Well, he didn't even know it was a karaoke thing. He just said, "Oh, I've heard this is a good Mexican restaurant." And then we show up and there's this guy singing and we thought it was just live music, but it turned out it was karaoke. So like in between us like singing hymns and singing psalms and stuff, some other just locals are coming in and singing like these Mexican songs that we didn't know. So the place was called El Caporal. So then I changed the lyrics like, yo no soy marinero, soy caporal. Like instead of soy capitan.
Yeah.
And then the lady's like, like the owner of the restaurant got real excited.
That's funny.
It was kind of stupid. We were just being silly. You know how it is. You had to be there. It was one of those
fun
things
though.
So we goofed around. So then we sang a bunch more like hymns and psalms.
Baptists can have fun.
Yeah, we sang a bunch more like hymns and psalms and stuff. And they're like, okay, we got to throw them another bone. Feliz Navidad. So this is like the only Mexican stuff that we could think of.
Oh man.
So then we sang that. But again, the crowd loved it. They loved it. So those were the only two worldly songs that we sang.
Yeah.
You need to absolve me, Father Thompson. No, I'm just kidding. But we sang La Bamba and Feliz Navidad. It's pretty mild stuff. Okay, it's pretty tame. But yeah, that was fun. But then we had a cool time the next day too because we went to that.
The duck pin bowling.
The duck pin bowling. But like the duck pin bowling ended up being way cooler than I thought it was.
It is cool.
Because I just thought, oh, it's bowling with small pins. I'm like, why would that be cool? But then I got there and the whole place is like an antique thing. It's like getting in a time machine and you're going back like 100 years. You feel like you're in the 20s or something, and they're playing the music from the 20s. And you're doing the duck pin bowling, and it was super fun. Like it's almost like a museum.
It is.
And a bowling alley.
It was cool. I wasn't sure about it when I first walked. And when I walked in, it was like, man, this is cool.
Well, I mean, every single time I go back to Indianapolis, I'm definitely going.
Yeah.
Like duck pin bowling is just for sure.
It's fun.
But speaking of that,
I sucked at it, but it was
that
fun.
Mexican restaurant that we went to, El Caporal. Obviously we were having fun goofing around with the music and stuff, but honestly, the food there, that was some of the best Mexican food I've had in years.
Really?
Yeah. And because you think we live in Arizona, we're surrounded by Mexican food. But man, that place, Indianapolis of all places.
Indianapolis has some good places to eat, man. The first time I went there, there's a place, I can't remember what the name of the place is, but you'll have to ask Justin. It's a challenge burger type place, but they had like elk burgers and stuff like that. And dude, it was so good. But Justin, people must think I can eat a lot because of how big I am or whatever, but Justin beat the challenge, and the burger was like huge. And that little dude.
I like those kind of eating contests because there was a hot dog
I couldn't
place
even come
here.
close.
One time I ate the devil dog, and I got a T-shirt. It was like some giant chili dog or something.
You ate the whole thing?
I did it. I got the shirt. I ended up giving the shirt to my nephew, but yeah.
When I was in Hawaii, I did this pancake challenge. I couldn't even eat like a quarter of it. Not even close. It was just.
You're totally overrated as an eater.
I can't. These little guys can eat these, Kobayashi, eating all these hot dogs or whatever. I can't.
I've only tried a challenge one time with the devil dog, and I.
Were you sick afterwards?
I defeated the devil in single combat.
My cousin's 7 foot tall, and there's this place in Portland where it's a 72-ounce steak, and you have to eat all the trimmings, and all the stuff that comes with it.
Yeah,
but it's
that's intense.
a 72-ounce steak. It's like
I don't think I could
huge.
do that. Yeah.
And he did that and finished a pitcher of beer and all the stuff. I mean, this is a long time ago.
Wow.
But I watched a lady do it in 2 minutes and some odd seconds.
That's crazy.
And it was disgusting. Like,
Well, see,
I don't know how she gets a date, but
if there's
she's tiny.
If there's a speed element, I'm always gonna lose because like I have this thing. It's hereditary where my esophagus is tiny, so I'm always like choking on my food. And
Yeah,
stuff,
I
'cause
do too.
My esophagus is tiny, so I eat slow. I'm a slow eater.
Is it rice and noodles
can
that get you really bad?
Yeah, well, I actually about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I don't remember when, a long time ago, 6, 7 years ago, I actually it got so bad that I couldn't eat at all. I was literally just only able to do like cereal and yogurt and like I couldn't eat any solid food.
Wow.
I could only eat like slimy or like liquid.
Put the cinnamon
diet.
toast crunch in a
So
little
I
bit.
ended up I had this
Mellow.
procedure where they shoved like a balloon down my neck and then they inflated it and it opened up my throat to make it bigger. And ever since, and it was really easy. It was really painless. Like, I mean, I was unconscious. That's why it was painless. But like, so they put me under and I woke up with a sore throat. But ever since then, like I've only choked I only choke like once a year now, if that.
Is it from eating too fast or something?
Just every once in a while, it just malfunctions.
Yeah.
But so that procedure was awesome. It's slowly like it's probably something I'll have to do like every 10 or 15 years as it slowly like shrinks again. But yeah, that was so then I was just eating all the things that used to be a trigger for me, like rice and everything. Like it's funny, like choking on rice sounds stupid because it's just like what the
No, but
heck?
it gets caught in your throat, in
Yeah,
your esophagus.
And I used
Or
to
noodles, like rice noodles.
I'd have stuff stuck in my throat for like 3 hours. Like I've had my throat jammed up for 3 hours, and it's super painful, and I'm puking, and it's just bad. Yeah, but thankfully, like like I said, for the last 6, 7 years, I've had no issue, and even when it happens like once a year, it only happens for like a couple minutes. But it used to be I would have stuff jammed in my throat for hours. Thankfully, it was never life threatening because it never blocked my windpipe, so I could always breathe. Yeah. But it was still scary.
But it's like a feeling that like. It's
just
lodged and then it makes you throw up. And
it's
you keep
stuck and then
does it like make like bile come out?
Yeah. So then because then it's like my body's angry.
It triggers
like,
that.
Why is this thing in my throat?
Yeah,
Get this out.
It like triggers like a reflex.
So there's like a puking reflex, and then also sometimes just hours and hours go by and I'm getting thirsty and hungry because the reason that I got something stuck in my throat is because I was hungry because I was eating.
You're like
so I get like a few bites into the meal.
Yeah.
And then 3 hours later I'm just like, man, I'm hungry. I'm thirsty, like and then the bile and everything makes you more thirsty. Yeah,
it's super uncomfortable.
I don't want to talk about it. It's bad. But anywho,
but our church. I mean,
Indianapolis is cool.
It's been a great run. Everything's been going really good, and
yeah. So was being a pastor like? Was it what you expected, or was it more difficult or easier, or like? Is it kind of what you expected?
It's had its challenges. No, I mean, I don't think you. That's the one thing I think that people can never prepare for. I don't think that people can prepare for what being a pastor is actually like. You can't explain it to people.
I've always tried to explain it. Like I remember telling Pastor Shelley.
It's pressure. It's constant pressure.
I told Pastor Shelley. I don't think I'm the one who said that. Am I?
No, I said it to Pastor Russell.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Because I'm like,
he says, sum up the ministry in one word, and I was like, pressure.
That was you. That's right. We talked about that in Idaho.
You always got the 3 sermons coming because I mean, after I became a pastor, then I started to slowly do the 3 sermons a week because I was, I didn't get, I was still working as a pastor for a while, and then once I became full time, then I just, became.
Well, Pastor Shelley, I remember just telling Pastor Shelley, I'm just like, listen, I said I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to explain this to you, and I said you're not going to believe me, but it's just like, I just said like, you are going to go through just these fiery trials. It's going to be way worse than you think. You're going to be pushed to your absolute limit as a human being. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, you got to be prepared for that. And I always explain this to these guys, and then they would come back later. I don't remember if Pastor Shelley came back later, or maybe it was Pastor Mejia or something. Because I kind of give them all these talks about how like, and part of the reason I tell them that is I say, look, when that happens, don't panic. Don't quit without talking to me first. I'm like, don't quit without talking to me. Come talk to me. And I said, don't feel like you have to impress me or that you want me to be proud of you or whatever. I said, let me be the person who you can just be real with and just tell me what's really going on and that I can help you. Because I said, I've seen everything. Nothing shocks me. And, I'm not going to judge you. I love you. I'm going to help you. Like, always come to me with your problems before doing something drastic or quitting. Because, sometimes people will just quit without talking to anybody.
I don't think I would do that even if I was pushed to my limit. Well, I've been pushed to my limit.
Well, but I've had people quit without talking to me. That's why I gave the talk,
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so I'm always, multiple times, in fact. And not even necessarily people that I sent out, but even just, I've had pastor friends that just, like there was a guy that I went to Bible college with and everything. He's a great guy, but he, quit without talking to me. And I was just like, why? You know what I mean? Like, but that, I'm not throwing any stones at him. He had a rough situation, and it's always rough, and the thing is, I've had some of these guys come back to me later though and say to me, it's funny when you told me that, I thought I knew what you meant, but yeah, you're right, it was worse than I thought it was going to be, and the trials are worse, and he's like, now I understand what you were saying. And it's like you said, you can't really describe it to people, just the spiritual assault that you're under as a pastor,
it could be a small thing that puts you past the tipping point,
the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah, and it's like it could be something that's just, it could just be just a small discouragement that somebody gives you,
because you're already
it's just like, all right, that's it, I'm ready to be done.
Yeah. Because you're already redlined from a million other things.
Yeah, and it's like from the big deal, and it's just like, that's where the saying comes, the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's got this huge load on it, and it's just like, dink,
Yeah, and then that last little thing.
It's like, that's it, I'm done, and I gotta admit, I've been there a couple times. I mean, the first real major thing I went through, I guess I could just sum it up as feeling like it was a 2-week anxiety attack. I don't know if you've ever had an anxiety attack, but I'm sure you have. You just probably don't know what it is unless you go through it, but like,
we're men, so we just don't recognize the
I'm just saying that, like,
I'm just kidding.
An anxiety attack, like it just feels like a pressure,
So
it's a suppression that you
I have
can't.
felt that way physically before, like what people describe as like an anxiety attack or panic attack. For me personally, though,
right.
whenever I felt that way, what I'll typically do is I will go running, and then and then I feel fine.
Yeah.
So that's what I've found, because sometimes I like I'm antsy and kind of like wired and feeling nervous or something. Then I've found that running will just kind of physically take the edge off of it. But honestly,
I'm saying when you're going through something hard though, like it's hard to for anything to help.
I've never had that when I'm going through something hard, because I think when people go through hard things, they react to it differently. So everybody's different. So everybody's different, because for me, like, even when I'm going through horrible, terrible things, like I sleep like a baby at night. I sleep like, I just go to bed, wake up 8 hours later a lot. You know what I mean? Like even when I'm really upset. And like some people, when they get really upset, they don't eat. And so you see them like losing a lot of weight. Whereas I'm more like a stress eater. So like when I'm going through really hard battles and attacks and stuff, I'm just like, give me the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, dang it. Like, I don't even care anymore. Give me the whole gallon of milk.
Ice cream.
I'm like, I want the whole gallon of milk, the whole box of cereal, and I'll just pound cereal. Now, I prefer now, I don't really like the name brand Cinnamon Toast Crunch anymore because it's a little too sugary.
Yeah.
I really like the Trader Joe's brand or like the Sprouts brand, like whatever's like the healthier edition. It's like half the sugar.
Yeah.
But I still love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Or granola. Or just whatever, like it's like not Cocoa Puffs, but they're like the peanut butter version. They're called like Panda Puffs or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do those, but like I'll just kind of like when I'm really stressed out and upset, like I'll just binge on cereal or just binge on other things. So I'm kind of like a stress eater, and then like I think we all have different ways of coping with things. So I don't really get the anxiety and the feeling of panic as much. For me, I just kind of go to this dark place and just kind of like
I only know it as an anxiety attack because a long time ago, before, like when I was 38, I think that I was working at a job that was really stressing me out. And I had this like really tyrant boss, and it was a woman.
Yeah.
And she was like gaslighting me, and she would send me emails and say, that's not what I said to do. And she was she was my only report. I actually turned her into HR like twice.
Oh man.
And she was just a tyrant. She had 2 different guys that were working there on medicine because that's how much of a tyrant she was. She was just an evil woman.
You
and
say
like,
she was a sodomite?
no, she wasn't a sodomite, but she was just an evil woman.
Oh, okay.
She was just, I don't know what she was. But
She was just a really
She
evil.
hired me as like she hired me as a person that does like the OSHA stuff, because that's what my specialty was, / security. Well, the first day I was there, she goes, I want you to go out, and anybody that's taken longer than a 10-minute break, I want you to write all their names down and bring me their names. And I'm like, this is like literally the first moment I got to work there.
Yeah.
That's not what my job description was. And it's like, first of all, I don't know their names. And it's like, yeah, I don't really feel comfortable doing that. And I mean, I know it's my first day, but like that's just a weird request.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just piss everybody off that I work with on the first
get
moment I
hate
get there.
you the first day.
Yeah, and so like it just didn't start off well, but then she just like, I mean, and it was during that time when it was really hard to find a job, and so I just had to just gut it out. And I was there for 9 months, and I remembered how long I was at that job for because I was looking for a job every day after that.
Yeah.
Hard. And I was just, she got me to the point where just, I actually had anxiety from it.
Yeah.
I was like, now I know why these guys are on medicine. Because I was just stressed because I couldn't lose that job. So that's how I wasn't sleeping. I was waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I couldn't go back to sleep. And I've never had that feeling before. So
that's terrible. I've had that in my life, like a long time ago, where I would really struggle with sleeping, and it's not being able to sleep is the worst thing ever.
It is.
It's torture. It's horrible. Like,
it is.
Thankfully, I don't have that problem anymore.
Yeah,
but
me neither. But
I have in the past. Me, like when I get super upset, angry, frustrated, down, exercise is kind of like, even either running or even just walking. Even I'll just take a lot of long walks, and that just makes me feel better.
Well, when the Bible says you've learned or you've heard of the patience of Job, people think that patience is always just not freaking out and going into a rage, but it's going through hard times and being able to get through it, because the first time you go through something really hard, it is really hard. But then like after a while, it's just like, oh, been there, done that. It's not as hard the next time.
The biblical term patience is referring to kind of enduring and keep on going for the long haul.
Yeah.
More than just patience, like, I can wait for dinner. I can wait an hour for
I
dinner.
want my dinner now.
Without losing my temper. Feed me now, woman. Yeah.
Well,
that's what we think of as patience. But you're right. The biblical patience is exactly what you said. It's more like...
Yeah. Not everybody can do this job.
Endurance.
And that's one thing that I do know for sure.
Yeah, and some people are going to crash and burn in different ways. Yeah. Because some people will crash and burn by going off into sin. Yeah. And obviously you see that with pastors. And some of these pastors, maybe they were just rotten people all along. Maybe they were just, living a double life or whatever. But I do think that also that some of these guys, and when I say these guys, I just mean people in general,
right.
Pastors who crash and burn by going into sin, like where they get caught either with a substance abuse, right? They're either drinking, drugs, or like gambling addiction, and then maybe they're embezzling money to feed a gambling addiction, or obviously one of the worst things, they're out committing adultery, they're out being a whoremonger or whatever. And I think that some of this is just that they were just bad people and they just, whatever. But I think that also some of it is that, that the job was something that they couldn't handle, and that they dealt with it the wrong way, basically. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, even like if you think about like recovering alcoholics, recovering drug addicts, why do they fall off the wagon and go back to those things? Is because stress is a trigger. So like, they'll be sober for years, and then they get upset, they get angry, they get frustrated, they get stressed out, and they revert back to that.
Some really traumatic thing happens to them.
Or
They're
even
like, I'm just going to get drunk.
Even something to just throw you out of your routine and just throw you off your game. So you think about this now. What if some of these pastors maybe had a sinful past? Maybe they have drunk in the past, or they've done drugs in the past, or been a fornicator in the past, or whatever. Yeah. And then it's like, well, now that they're a pastor, they're put in the pressure cooker. They're put in the crucible that is, pastoring. Yeah. And then they could revert to those habits as well. Yeah. And so obviously, like, you have to have a healthy way to deal with these things. Yeah. And because it is super stressful, tons of pressure. You go through horrific trials and tribulations. The devil comes at you, and it's just there's so many things. And so you have to have a healthy way, and I'm not saying that pounding cereal and granola is the healthiest way to deal with it, but there's a lot worse things you can be doing. There could be worse things. There could be worse things than eating way too much peanut butter Love Crunch, which is the best granola. Yeah, but the thing is, like, I find that exercise is the best way for me to deal with stress. So I'm constantly trying to, get out and eat. Like I said, it doesn't even have to be anything crazy. It can be a bicycle ride, a walk. But so I'll tell you when I have the hardest time is when if I'm sick or having some physical issue why I can't exercise, because then it's like, what do I do then? Because that's like my number one way for coping as far as physically with what I'm going through. And so, like, that's when I'm really at the end of my rope, is when it's like, if I can't lift, or if I can't run,
when men feel weak
or powerless.
Yeah, when men feel powerless, and even around other men, it's like you got some ailment or something, and it's holding you back or whatever. It can make you more depressed.
Well, it's like my great grandfather committed suicide, actually. So my great grandfather, I never even met him. Yeah. I mean, this is great grandfather. So this is going way back. Yeah. Gustav Anderson, from Sweden. He came from Sweden when he was like 9 years old or something. But anyway, so I never knew them, but this is my dad's dad's dad, and he was like a potato farmer in Idaho.
That's funny. Wow.
And what happened was he ended up getting divorced from his wife, and his mother died, and then he also developed some kind of a heart condition or something. And it all kind of hit him at the same time. When it rains, it pours. So he was only, I think, in his 50s or something. So he's in his 50s, and he went to lift a sack of potatoes. And he couldn't lift the sack of potatoes because he was weakened by his condition. And so he ended up just dropping the sack of potatoes and saying, I'm not worth a damn thing. And then he just went and killed himself because he couldn't work. Because obviously, like, he's going through these other traumatic things of divorce and his mom dying or whatever, just bad things happening in his life. And then it's like, okay, well, he's still got work. Yeah. And then he lost work, and it's like he's got nothing left. Now, obviously, for us, the main thing in our lives is something that can never be taken away from us, which is serving God.
Right.
It's you can also think about that song, Little As Much When God Is In It. Are you laid aside from service, body worn from toil and care? You can still be in the battle, in the sacred place of prayer.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, I blanked it out.
But the point is, like even if you're, the idea is that no matter how physically messed up you are, like, there's still a way to walk with God, serve God.
Prayer warrior.
You could be reading your Bible. You could be praying. You could still do, Yeah. So, but my great grandfather was unsaved. Yeah. He was like a Jack Mormon, so the one who killed himself. Yeah. So he doesn't have Christ. He doesn't have, that thing that's always there to live for. Yeah. Serving God, walking with God, preaching the gospel. That he didn't have that. So yeah, he ended up doing that. But for me, like, if I can't function physically, like if I can't get out and exercise and lift weights, run, do sports or whatever, like it's hard. It's really hard for me to cope with stress in my life, because that's kind of like, that's my go-to. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, we have the spiritual side of reading the Bible and praying and going to church and soul winning and singing hymns. But there's not just a spiritual side to life. There's a physical side to life. You could check all the boxes spiritually, and you can crash and burn physically.
Yeah.
And so we got to take care of the body, the soul, and the spirit. It's important.
I've definitely been working at it.
Yeah.
So it's important. It is. And the older you get, the more you feel it. And,
Oh yeah.
You start getting arthritis and all that from.
Yeah, and for me, like I said, exercise for me, like, obviously I want to be in shape physically, I want to be healthy, but honestly, I feel like the most important thing that I get out of exercising is the psychological benefit. I think that's probably the main reason why I
goal driven
work out.
Because you're really goal driven.
Well, I'm really goal driven, but I'm just saying, because it just, if I exercise, if I get proper exercise, then I'm in a good mood.
Yeah, the endorphins kick in.
The endorphins kick in, and I'm just physically in a good mood. I'm just in a good mood, and I'm on a really even keel. Because obviously the Bible teaches that we don't want to become angry people. We don't want to get bitter and just go through life upset and everything. And there are a lot of things that tend to make us upset, especially when you're pastoring. I mean, there's a lot of frustration and challenges and persecution.
There's a lot of betrayal.
A lot of betrayal and everything like that. So what I'm saying is, like, the psychological benefit that I get from exercising is just to be able to cope with things, physically.
Yeah.
Obviously, if the spiritual side's wrong, the physical's not going to do it alone. But my point is both.
Yeah.
You got to do both,
And I'm definitely not trying to whine about how hard pastoring is at all. Like, I hope that people don't get that idea.
Well, it's also very gratifying.
It's definitely, it's a blessing for sure. Like, I love being a pastor. But I just, if people, remember when people were just lining up to be pastors? Like, when, for a while, people were just,
it used to be that there were so many people in this movement and in our churches that really wanted to pastor.
Yeah.
And it was like, we're training these guys and vetting these guys, and they were kind of working toward getting to that point where they had the biblical knowledge, the preaching ability, and all the things that they needed to meet the qualifications and to do the job. And I feel like after people have seen some of the things that have happened to us and the things that we've gone through, I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I think I'm just happy being a church member.
Well, there's like, we're not stars or anything, but like, me and my wife have talked about this before, and it's like, there is a certain amount of stalking that happens with us, and you get it way worse than I do, I'm sure, but like, there's still like this, there's always this lingering stalker thing that happens with us, and we're not even famous at all, but like, it kind of makes you watch your back a lot more. And I don't always do that, but like, it's just like, it makes you not want to trust people to a certain extent. And I'm not saying I don't trust anybody, but it just, it's a bizarre thing. Like, when you put yourself out there, like Hollywood stars go through something. And I was kind of watching this interview with Ben Affleck, and I'm not like a big Ben Affleck fan or anything, but I just happened to catch a podcast that he was on where he was being interviewed by, I think, what's that guy with the mullet or whatever? He's like a really famous podcaster. But anyway, he was just talking about how he can't even go out and just go get an ice cream with his kids because he's got all these paparazzi people.
Things that you take for granted.
Yeah, and it's just like, that's why he was talking about how he's, always, all these pictures get taken of him where he's like annoyed.
Oh, he's like, is that Ben Affleck? Just the name with the where he's got the cigarette in his hand. He's just like.
But there's been a bunch of pictures of them taken like that, because it's usually right after somebody just comes up and go, "Hey, Ben Affleck," and they just mess with them all the time. But like, it's not to that level. But
sometimes people will trash these Hollywood stars, like, "Oh, somebody just asked for an autograph and he was so rude." But what they don't understand is that it's the 100th time that day, and they're trying to live a normal life. They're trying to just, because I know what you mean. Like, there have been times when I've gotten around people, and they just they won't stop like asking me questions and like almost like interrogating me. Yeah. And I've had to sometimes tell people like, hey, look, man, like I just want to just hang out and just eat my food, and let's all just kind of hang out with one another. Stop interviewing me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And people get mad, and I try to say it as nicely as I can, but kind of sometimes there's no nice way to say it because I'll be super nice, and they still get offended. Yeah. Like you know, like one time I just told this guy, I was like, you know, just stop asking me questions. Like I don't want to answer any questions, officer. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just like I don't want to answer any questions because
this interview is over.
Because it's like we'll be on a missions trip, and you're soul winning all day. Yeah. Soul winning's exhausting.
It is, yeah.
Like you go on one of these mission trips, go soul winning for 5-6 hours. I mean, I'm just so tired, and I just want to be like, you know, one of the guys and just relax, and we can all just like I want a fellowship. Yeah. But I don't want to be interrogated by a super fan. And the thing is that like I find that the people that I usually have the most fun with, or end up becoming the closest friends with at church or even in the greater like NIFB movement is the people who kind of just act normal around me or just treat me like a normal person, because I like to just feel like I'm just I'm just another guy, just another Christian, just we're just kind of just I want to just be treated like a normal person. Yeah. Like, but then you get these people where just you and I understand when people first meet you, they're excited. Yeah. But but I'm talking about you've been with the people for hours and they're just like, I can't believe I'm with Pastor Anderson. Yeah. I can't believe it's the real pastor. Like, it's like when you first meet someone that makes sense. Yeah. But it's like when I've been hanging around, when I've been on this mission trip with you for several days, or we've been hanging out for hours and you're still acting that way, it's like, okay, man, like, let's just, you know what I mean? But see, even people hearing me say that right now, they're thinking that I'm a jerk right now. No, seriously. I know. People are probably thinking like, "Oh, you're a jerk." These people. It's like, well, no. It's just that we deal with this and live with this all the time, and it gets frustrating after a while. You know what I mean? And you want to just have a normal conversation with people and just hang out and be treated like a normal person. Yeah. And so it's like you said, it can't really be explained to someone who's never been there. And obviously,
if you're always being talked about and all, you know, you were talking about evil surmising in that video that you made, and it's like, and there's always just people out there just like, and they're doing this because of that, and it's just like, and they put a triangle on the new IFB thing because they're secretly Illuminati, and you know, just all this weird stuff, and it's like, I just never imagined that being a pastor is like these people just constantly just spying on everything you do, and it's like, you know, you feel like you share a picture about with you and your grandkids, and they're doing all this weird stuff.
They're zooming in the background and trying to find.
Well, look at the pitchfork on the wall. You know, it's just like he's got a spoon and a pitchfork. What does that mean? You know, it's just like, what in the world? You know, it's. But I mean,
I think, and if you think about it, like, there are obviously people out there that are way more famous than us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Way more.
But it's just like, it's a slice.
Like thinking about what that would be like, that's got to be so much worse. Like, because you don't even have a chance to just go outside, live a normal life, be treated normal, hang around with people. And that's why I do like to kind of get involved sometimes in stuff in the community and go places where people don't even know me as Pastor Anderson, just to be treated like a normal person. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean,
because it's refreshing to kind of like to be around people who don't know anything. They don't know my whole life, and you know, and all these different things, and so that they don't just think of me in a certain way.
There's no agenda. There's no.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people in our church.
Sure. Yeah.
That I get along great with, and can have those kind of really casual. In fact, most people at our church, because you know, in your home church, you're just you're not Pastor Anderson. You're just Pastor Anderson. You know.
Yeah. But I don't mean that to like when people get excited to meet me or whatever. I don't think that's weird.
No, it's cool like when they get excited to meet you. What I find weird is when the excitement never goes away, and then it's just they're just still acting that way the second day and the third day and everything. That's where it's just
some of these like Hollywood stars, they have to like they have to like put restraining orders against people
Yeah.
and things like that. And that's why like when it gets really, and I'm not saying we're Hollywood stars or anything like that. I'm just saying that I kind of see like how that gets
No, it's
weird.
like you get a tiny taste of it, and you can but what's funny is that I think the average American probably thinks like, oh, it'd be so awesome to be this Hollywood star, this rock star, this famous artist or whatever. But honestly, like, I don't think those people are living very happy lives in many cases, and that's why you see a lot of them are addicted to drugs, and they're getting drunk and shoplifting.
Well, when people are driving by your house, like I have people drive by my house, and I know you do, or having pizzas delivered to my house just so they can tell me that, so they can show me that they know what my address is and things like that. That's stalker level stuff.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre.
Yeah, but yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how
I just think that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence.
Sure, yeah.
And I think that there are a lot of benefits to being a pastor.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's obviously super gratifying. It's super fulfilling. It's awesome. And honestly, I love meeting with listeners, fans,
Me
if
too.
you will. And I love it if I'm out in public or something and people are like, "Hey, you're Pastor Anderson." Like, I love it. I enjoy it. But what I'm saying is it's what I don't like though is when basically like just you're with someone and 3 hours later right? They're still just laying it on. It's just like, okay, man, let's
I actually had someone
now.
recognize me at like a Chicago baseball game when we were in Chicago. It was like, "You're Pastor Aaron Thompson."
And it's cool,
I was
right?
like, yeah.
It's cool. But obviously, there are going to be times that you want to just be treated like a normal person, live a normal life, act normal, just be one of the guys. And that's also why it's nice to have friendships with other pastors, because then we can also because we're peers.
Yeah.
So then it's like we can kind of have those kind of pastoral and like you said, nobody really understands who hasn't done it. We understand each other, and because we all kind of are in that same boat.
But I love church planting, and it's to me it's satisfying that because obviously there's a dearth in the land of good churches and good Bible teaching, and people are hungry for the Word of God. And
I always get super excited when I hear that you guys are planting another church, or that like Pastor Russell planted the church in Boise and the church in St. Louis and everything. Like, that gets me super excited. Like, I would love, because we don't have any church plants right now, but I would love to get some church plants going. It's just it's hard to find that guy.
Yeah.
What you really need is the manpower, the boots on the ground that you can trust, that can run things, that can be there. I mean, we need to start churches all over America. Like, I would love to see us just start
the Midwest,
scores of churches.
The Midwest thing, Justin actually flew out with Brother Matt, which I think you might have met Brother Matt. Anyway, they came out. They flew into Portland, and I was having a soul winning thing up in Yakima. They rented a car. They drove up that morning after getting in late from Indianapolis and went soul winning with us all day. Then they drove back, because I drove back that night, and then they drove, and then Justin led songs at my church because all of our song leaders and everybody was in Yakima. They stayed there, and then I was just like, "Well, hey man, you came all the way over here. I'm going to hear you out."
Yeah.
So I had lunch with them at the Mexican restaurant over in the complex there, and I just listened to everything that they had to say. Yeah. And I just said, okay, well, I'm going to come out and check it out.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will say, they'll say, we got all these people ready to go. There's 60 people ready to go.
Oh yeah, we've had that happen, and then we've checked it out, and it was not at all what they said.
And that's why I check it myself.
Or they'll have one time there was this group, and we were going to start a church, and we're like, yeah, okay, great, let's do it. We get out there. It turns out that the people it was like a group of people, and they all hate each other. They're all fighting and striving. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, we haven't even started yet, and you already have all this strife. We're like, forget this, man. Get your crap together.
Well, I always know that the numbers are going to be less than they think, but if their numbers are like between 30 and 40, or even high 20s or mid 20s, I'm okay with that. And just the fact, if they have boots on the ground that are ready to go, and that I can depend on them.
But you got to inspect.
But because if they can't handle it, like if I think that they can't handle it, I can't help somebody that's that I can't. If I'm going to have to hold your hand the whole time, then it's not going to do me any good because I can't be in two places at the same time.
Yeah, when Pastor Russell was operating the FWBC Tucson church plant, it runs itself.
Yeah.
FWBC LA just ran itself. Yeah. So it was just like, it wasn't difficult.
And then the hard things, like kind of like how Moses said, and then the hard things you bring to me. It's that's the same. Like Pastor Menace held my hand for a little while.
I mean, if I had
the hard things I'd bring to him.
If I had 50 Bruce Mejias or 50 Corbin Russells across America, I could run 50 church plants.
Yeah.
Because they are usually close to breaking even, at least financially, or self-sufficient. They're either self-sufficient or close. Right. So they're only a slight drain financially, if anything.
Well, and with Indianapolis, I said you have to be self-sufficient from the get-go, or I can't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's just too far away.
Because you were already kind of spread thin.
Well, it's just too far away too. It's like clear across the country. But that Midwest, I already have a Northwest vision, but there's nothing in the Midwest.
Yeah, we need more.
And so Indianapolis is literally the Midwest, or it's the junction of the Midwest. It's all these places go through Indianapolis.
I mean, the Midwest, and so it's now in the Midwest we got St. Louis and
2 hours away from Indy. Everything's 2 hours from Indy, it seems like, and it's like you could get Milwaukee and just. I mean, I'm probably gonna.
But then the East Coast. I mean, there's so many places that we need to start a church. So a lot of places in the South.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, the South. I mean, the Eastern Seaboard. All those areas.
Well, Brother Raymond Cooper's preaching tonight, and he's our first speaker of the conference.
Amen.
And he's planning on putting on a lot of different soul-winning marathons across America over the next few months, and he's got one coming up. I want to say, I hope I'm not getting this wrong. I want to say it's in Nebraska or something. I don't know. He's always announcing different soul-winning marathons and stuff. So those are good like test balloons, because when we hold those events, if we have a really big turnout somewhere, sort of like how your church came into existence, because there was a big turnout at the Portland soul winning marathon.
We should promote those more. If you share those with me, I'll share them on my YouTube.
Yeah, because then we can figure out where the church planting, needs to happen. Well, I think we should probably wrap up with that.
Let's do it.
So I really enjoyed having you on.
Appreciate you
being part of this experiment, kind of just testing out, what it's like to do a podcast in here. And
I'm excited about the missions conference. I'm glad I'm here. And I look forward to all the events. And thanks a lot for having me on, Pastor.
Awesome, man. God bless.
God bless you.